Hey guys, in this video, I'll show you how you can build an entire Airtable project management system for your business that will allow you to track all of the KPIs, manage your team, and spot bottlenecks before they even happen in your company. And we're going to do all of that by using some of the lessons from the biggest companies in the world. This is what the end result can actually look like. So this is a live snapshot of our own project management system at our company, and it allows us to see exactly where all the bottlenecks in our company currently are, and most importantly, it allows us to see our team's performance so we can track how well they're doing in their day-to-day and how long does it take them to actually get stuff done. This is super handy because we're able to spot bottlenecks before they even happen, and that way we're able to hire up front and make sure we never get to the point where people are under capacity, and we can actually manage and keep holds of everything. So the first thing that we're going to need to do to structure your project management system is actually transform the way we think about project management. So most companies think about project management in a way that, they have a client and they have a project, and that project has 10 or 15 subtasks, and each one of those subtasks has their own status, a due date, assignee who needs to get the job done, a description, an SOP. So it creates a lot of things that you need to manage. So if you run a website company, you have a client, that client has a website project, and that website project, has 7 different tasks. You need to create a brief, you need to get a brief QA'd by the client, you need to create a design, you need to get the design QA by the client. So we have a bunch of these small tasks in order to complete a project. The way we want to think about project management actually comes from Henry Ford's playbook of the assembly line. We like to think about a project moving through different stages, almost like on an assembly line, where we add a part to that project on every single new stage. This allows us to manage way less open loops in our project management system and allows us to track KPIs better because there's going to be no confusion on where a particular project is. It can only be in a specific stage. Whereas if you have a task-based system, it actually confuses both you, the client, and your team on where exactly a project is, because in order for you to get an understanding of that, you have to analyze the project and understand where all the statuses are, and this task is incomplete, this one is in progress, this one's actually complete, but someone didn't log it in the project management system. So it creates this big mess. So we're going to restructure that and create an assembly line for your business. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is actually show this on a live example of a web design agency. So as I said, we have a client, and each one of the clients has a website project. And to get a website project done, you need to have a couple of tasks. So you need to create a brief, confirm the brief with the client, create the initial design, to the client design QA, develop the website, have the client do a final QA, and then finally publish the website. And let's say if we're just tracking the statuses for each one of these tasks, right, not assigned, assigned, in progress, and complete, 7 tasks times 4 statuses is going to give us about 28 things we're going to need to manage just for a single website project. And of course, that works if we have only 1 or 2 or few websites projects coming in parallel. The problem is when this starts to scale, it's going to start to create hundreds and hundreds of things you're going to need to juggle inside of your head to actually get things moving. So at 10 clients, this actually becomes 280 things that you need to manage. Same thing, same website project, same 7 tasks. It's just at 10 times the scale, you're going to have hundreds of tasks that you need to let the clients know about, let the team know about. And usually what's going to happen is things are going to start to slip. That's why we're going to reshape this project management system into an assembly line. And the way we do that is we actually do things where we create a linear process of that exact same tasks that you've mapped out in your project management. You're going to try to create a linear stage-based process that's going to turn your website project into an entity moving through different stages of the assembly line. So in this case, for a web design agency, the stages look a little bit like this. So you have the stage called brief creation, and a website project is moving through that stage to the next stage, which is the brief client QA. And once it's sent there, that basically means, all right, we've sent this to the client. The client now needs to approve it or deny it. If they approve it, awesome, it goes into design creation. If they have QA'd it and have some edits, it goes back into edits needed. No confusion of where that website is. Once you're done with design, you push it into design client QA. Again, the client either moves it forward or pushes it back. Either way, you know exactly where it is. Once the client approves the design, it goes into in progress. And then once the development is actually done, goes into QA and then edits needed. And then finally, when it's good, it goes to publish. And this way, the same 10 website projects that we had in our normal project management system actually become only 10 things that we need to manage because we have a clear idea of where things exactly are. There's no confusion that if a website is in a particular stage or status, where that website project is. It can only be in one spot. If a project is in the status client QA, you know exactly what was done before and what needs to get done after that status. So we're going to use this to now put this into Airtable and structure your table, structure your statuses so you can actually get this done. To build this in Airtable, you're going to start from scratch on a completely blank base, and you're just going to select your own workspace. So I'm going to select this one and start from scratch. So the first table that you're going to have to create is going to be a clients table. And here you're basically just going to have a list of all of your active clients. You can go ahead and delete these random fields. And what you can add here is just a quick single select on the billing status. So you can track, are they a new client? Are they currently a paying client? Or have they, for example, churned, right? And this way, you're just going to be able to track really quickly who's an active client, who's currently in onboarding, and just have a really good sense of what's happening. Also, really simply, I usually just like to give an attachment here to the contract and just, a couple basic cosmetic fields. This is not the point of this video, but again, really simply just have a table where you can track all of your clients. And we're just going to add in, Acme 1, Acme 2, and Acme 3 as just like 3 exemplary clients. And we're going to say that all of them for now are paying clients. Awesome. The next table that we're going to need to add to the system is going to be your projects table. And depending on what your company does, whether that's website, SEO, roofing, or whatever kind of the use case for your business is, you can always call this just a projects table. And really simply, this is just going to be a collection of all the active projects you have for your clients that are related to them. So again, same thing. We're just going to delete these 3 fields. And the critical thing for this is these projects are going to be linked to your clients, right? So one of your clients may have 2, 3, 5 active projects at a time, or historically, you might do multiple projects with them over time. So 1 month, you might do a website for them, and then in 3 months, you might do another one. So we want to be able to track the history of all the projects we ever did for clients. And the way we're going to do this is to make sure that they're 2 separate tables, 2 separate entities, and that they're actually linked in together. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a link to another table, and you're going to create a link with the clients table. And we're going to just say client right here. And we're not going to allow linking to multiple records because a project shouldn't, in theory, be applicable to multiple clients. And we're just going to create this field. What that is going to allow us is to say, our website A is going to be able to be linked to a specific client. So we're going to be able to select, Acme 1 as a client, and now they're going to be linked into a website. The next thing we're going to be needing here is a single select field for the project status. Again, thinking about the assembly line, these statuses or stages basically are going to signify where a specific project is in the production pipeline. So we're just going to call this project status. And we're going to add a couple of fields. So the first one that we normally add is just a new, and this is really for, a place to park all the new projects that are going to be coming into your production pipeline. And the reason we add numbers in front of a status is just for you to keep track of exactly the order of things that are happening. And the reason we put them 10 numbers apart is if ever you need to add another status in between two statuses, you're not going to have to go renumber the entire list. You can just sort of slot them in and you're going to have enough space. So we start off with new, that's as the first status. And in the case of the web design agency, the first thing that we're going to need to do is create brief. And after that is client brief QA, right? So we create the brief, and then once the brief is going to be created by your team, you're going to be pushing it to the next status, which is 20, client brief QA. You're going to need the client to actually approve it. And again, I'm going to go and really quickly just create these statuses, and then we're going to jump right back into it. If you're finding this video helpful so far, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be trying to post more and more really in-depth operations content about business that we use at OpsKings, where we've helped over 50 businesses streamline and automate their companies. And using the tips and tricks I'm going to show in these videos, we've actually helped some companies double and triple their revenue in a span of a couple of months. So if you like this, feel free to subscribe. All right, so now I've created the statuses for these projects, and these basically match what we had in Lucidchart just a while ago. The small sort of note here when you're building out these statuses is I always like to put the sort of failed QA steps to be 9, basically end with number 9. And this allows us to filter these statuses to create actionable views for your team members so you can know exactly, all right, these are the things that failed QA that need to get acted on. And it'll just keep things clean inside of the pipeline itself. So we're going to go ahead and save this field. And once this is done, in a grid view, it actually doesn't make a lot of sense that we have these statuses assigned to each one of these projects. It only starts to make sense and look like an assembly line once you actually put it in a Kanban view. So we're going to go ahead and create really quickly a Kanban view and just make sure we're stacking by project status. So awesome. Now that we're stacking all of your projects in a Kanban view by the project status, this now starts to look like more like an assembly line, what I've shown you before. So we can tell, awesome, website A is now in 60 development client QA, and once the client approves it, we move it to ready for publishing. So your team who's responsible for publishing it to the website and making it live can now get notified, hey, this client project has moved to status ready to go. They can get a Slack notification and actually get it done. And once they're done, they can move it to published. So awesome. We've now restructured the way we think about project management into having a bunch of statuses and a bunch of tasks to actually having a structured assembly line with predefined stages that always need to happen in a linear fashion. So all of a sudden, now you go from managing 200, 300 different tasks and due dates and deadlines to only tracking a project moving through the assembly line throughout your company. Just by implementing this in your project management system, you're probably going to get a 30 to 50% increase in overall bandwidth, both for you and your team when it comes to just managing and juggling things inside of your business. The next step to this is actually creating interfaces and automation. So when someone moves a status into, hey, this is ready for editing, the person responsible actually gets a Slack notification or an email, hey, this project moved into a status, you can now start acting on it. So now I'm going to show you how you can build a couple of simple interfaces for your team to actually start navigating this new project management system and how that can build into your day-to-day workflow. And then on top of that, how KPIs and how long certain projects are staying in each status can actually be a really good way for you to diagnose what is the actual bottleneck in your production process. All right, so now we're going to go into actually building out interfaces for your team, and I'm going to show you a couple of cool things you can do with filtering to make sure that your team doesn't actually see the entire production pipeline. They only need to see the statuses that are actually relevant to them. So I'm going to go ahead and start building, and I'm going to go build an interface and just call it an interface. And the first thing I'm going to do is number one, create a Kanban, which we already did in the actual table. We're just going to select projects and stacking by project status. And this is just going to be our global, we're going to call it a global project management view. where everyone's basically going to be able to hop in and see where are all of the projects currently at. And then for every single team member, we want to create a view that only filters by the status that are relevant for them. And the way we do that is you're going to create a new interface, and we like doing this with this view called record review. So we're going to press on that. We're going to select projects, and we're going to go ahead here and filter by a specific project status. So let's say we're building this for, an editor who needs to, or like a designer who needs to basically get notified and only see the projects that are related to design. So we're going to go project status is any of, and we're going to say design in progress, design edits needed, and design client QA. So those are the three statuses relevant for a designer to actually see. So we're going to press next, and we're going to say designer view. And the reason we're calling it the designer view because it's filtered only by the statuses that are actually relevant to them. The sort of advanced way you can do this is actually do a dynamic filter by team members. Again, this is a bit of an advanced feature and probably requires a video of its own, but for you guys to get started, you can create a view by team member. Just make sure to filter by their exact statuses that they're responsible. So we're going to go ahead and press publish here. And really quickly, we're going to see that we actually don't have any projects that are in the designer view because they're filtered out. None of the projects currently are in any of the design fields. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pull back website A back into one of these design fields. So what we need to do is just make sure we go here and make sure we can edit records in line. So I can actually drag it across, hit publish here. And we're just going to drag back website A into, let's say, design in progress. And all of a sudden, here in the designer view, we can now see website A appeared in this view, and the designer can now basically have a view that they log into every single morning and only see the tasks that are relevant for them. And then from here, the designer can just press ahead and move forward to the next task. And once they're done, move the status, and it will automatically get filtered out of this view. Really useful thing if you have multiple sort of departments and positions in your company is to create a filtered view by specific position or by specific department. That way, the people that are doing design are only seeing design stuff. The people that are doing development are only seeing development stuff. So here's an example of how this looks in our operating system with one of our developers, Nathan. So Nathan's doing all of our internal tech. And here in his developer view, we have things filtered only by statuses that are actually relevant to him. And with time, you can, again, make this as custom as you want. As you can tell, we have, a pretty custom setup here. We have buttons that allow him to change statuses, ask for help. We have a comments field here. We have functionality notes and stuff like that. So this is sort of what the end result can look like. It probably doesn't fit into this video, but you get the gist of filtering tasks or projects only by the statuses that are relevant to a specific team members. The critical thing with this is that it will create a lot of clarity in your team's head on what is actually actionable for them, instead of them being overwhelmed and being needed to see everyone's task and everyone's projects that are not actually relevant to them. So make sure to set up this view for every single team member. To recap, what you need to do is you need to restructure the way you think about project management. Instead of moving away from tasks and subtasks, move into statuses and stages of specific projects. Once you get that done, open up Airtable, create a client table, create a project table, create a team table, and you're basically going to input all of your existing data there. On the projects table, make sure you have a single select field with all of your stages of a specific project so you can track them in your production line, and then go into interfaces and create custom interfaces for each one of your team members. And this usually will just be enough for you to get the ball rolling. The advanced features from there are going to be able to track every single change on every single status and putting that into KPIs for your company. This will require you to open up make.com, and I'm going to forward you over to watch my partner's channel, Ryan, who has a lot of great videos on how to use make.com and how you can actually automate the collection of KPIs and actually start tracking how long is each thing stuck in each one of the statuses. So once you get all of that stuff done and implemented, you can start running your company inside of this this project management system and have full awareness of all of the KPIs and the bottlenecks inside of your business. So once you have this project management system set up, you're going to need to make sure that your team is actually communicating and they can get notification about every single time a project changes statuses or moves hands. And a really good way to set this up is using Slack. So I have this entire video showing you how you can set up Slack for your business, and you can watch it right here.